All right, let's talk marketing. We're going to crack open chapter 2 of what is basically the Bible of marketing, Marketing Management by Kotler and Keller. Our mission? To boil down decades of marketing genius into a super quick masterclass on how the best companies actually plan and manage their marketing. So, you ready to think like a chief marketing officer? Let's get into it.
So let's just start with a big question, right? You see all these successful companies and you wonder, how do they do it? How do they consistently make the right moves? Well, it's not just luck or some kind of magic. As Kotler's work shows us, there's a really disciplined, strategic process behind all of it. It involves some deep thinking, making tough choices, and then just executing like crazy. And we're about to break that whole thing down.
And it all comes back to this one simple, powerful idea. This quote, it's the North Star for everything else. It's not just about selling stuff. No, it's about creating real value for a customer. And this is key, doing it in a way that keeps the lights on. Think about a company like Zappos. They created value not just by selling shoes, but with that legendary customer service, the free shipping both ways. Everything we're going to talk about today is built right on top of this foundation.
Which brings us to what marketing's real job is. See, a lot of people think marketing is just the ads and the social media posts. But according to Kotler, that's actually the end of the story. The real work, the heavy lifting, starts way before a product even exists. It's all part of what he calls the value creation process. This is all the strategic thinking that happens behind the curtain. And this whole process really breaks down into 3 clear phases. Think of it like you're building a house. Phase 1, choosing the value. That's the homework. That's you drawing up the blueprints. Then phase 2, providing the value. That's the actual work, right? You're laying the foundation, putting up the walls. And only then, after all that, do you get to phase 3, communicating the value. That's like hosting the open house and telling everyone how great it is. Now, that first phase, choosing the value, is absolutely critical. And it all boils down to this powerful little acronym, STP. It stands for segmentation, targeting, and positioning. You look at the entire market, you segment it into different groups. Then you target the specific group you can serve better than anyone else. And finally, you position your brand, your product, so that target audience sees you as the perfect solution just for them. I mean, this right here, this is the strategic heart of all marketing. And to provide that value, a company is really just a collection of activities, what we call a value chain. You've got your primary activities, the stuff that directly gets the product to the customer, things like operations and sales. And then you've got the support activities working in the background to make it all happen, like HR and technology. The best companies are obsessed with looking at every single link in this chain to find ways to be more efficient and create even more value.
Okay, so we've looked at the process. Now let's kind of zoom out and look at the company itself. Because here's the thing, great marketing planning doesn't just happen in the marketing department. It has to flow from the very top of the company, and it all starts with a company's mission. That mission sets the direction for everything and everyone.
So before you can plan a single thing, you have to know who you are and why you even exist. And the legendary management guru Peter Drucker, one of the most brilliant business thinkers ever, he laid out 5 simple questions that every single company needs to answer to really lock down its core mission. Now, what's so powerful about these questions is how they force a company to think bigger than just what it sells. So instead of saying we sell cars, a company might answer, our business is personal mobility. See that shift? It's a huge change from being product-focused to being customer need-focused. It's exactly how Netflix went from we rent DVDs by mail to we're in the business of entertainment. And this is just a brilliant way to think about it. Kotler points to Sony's former president, Akio Morita. His vision wasn't just to sell electronics. He had this impossible dream of giving everyone personal, portable sound. And that vision, that's what led to the Walkman. It totally changed the world. You see that same big thinking today with companies like Tesla, whose mission is to accelerate the world's transition to sustainable energy. It's huge. Of course, really big companies are way too complex to have just one single plan. So what they do is break themselves down into what are called strategic business units, or SBUs for short. Just think of a huge company like Disney. The theme parks are one SBU. The movie studios, that's another SBU. Each one has its own unique challenges and competitors, so each one needs its own dedicated plan. So let's drill down to that SBU level. Once a business unit knows its mission, it has to get brutally honest about where it stands in the market. And the most famous, tried and true tool for doing that is the SWOT analysis. It's a powerful framework that countless companies have used to figure out their next move. It's a classic for a reason, because it works.
SWOT is just a super simple but really powerful way to organize your thinking. You look internally. What are you good at? Those are your strengths. What are you not so good at? Your weaknesses. Then you look externally. What's going on out there that you could take advantage of? Those are your opportunities. And what could trip you up? Well, those are your threats.
And this is where SWOT stops being a boring list and becomes a tool for real action. It forces you to ask a massive strategic question. Do we stick to our knitting and only go after opportunities where we're already strong? Or do we get bold, build new strengths, and go after even bigger opportunities? The answer to that question basically defines your entire strategy.
But it is so important to understand this distinction, which was made famous by the strategist Michael Porter. Being operationally effective just means you're good at your job, maybe a little faster or cheaper than the next guy. But strategy is about doing things differently. Anyone can copy efficiency, but a truly unique strategy, that is much, much harder to beat. Just look at Southwest Airlines. Their whole low-cost, point-to-point model was a unique strategy that legacy airlines just couldn't copy. So you've done your analysis, you know where you stand. Now what? The next step in the plan is deciding how you're actually going to grow. And it's not enough to just say, we want to grow. You have to choose a specific, deliberate path to get you there.
And this grid is a fantastic way to think about your growth options. You could try for market penetration. That's like Starbucks using a loyalty program to get its current customers to buy more coffee. You could go for market development, like Under Armour expanding into Europe with the same products. You could do product development. That's Apple creating the Apple Watch for its millions of iPhone users. Or the riskiest move of all, diversification, like when Amazon, a bookstore, decided to get into cloud computing with AWS. And whatever growth path you choose, Porter argues you have to commit to one of these three core strategies to win. You can be the cheapest, like Walmart. You can be uniquely different and better, like Apple. Or you can focus on a tiny niche and just own it, like a local bakery that only makes vegan cupcakes. The one thing you can't do? Try to be all three. That is a recipe for disaster. And here's one final, absolutely critical piece of wisdom from Kotler. You can have the most amazing mission, the most brilliant SWOT analysis, the cleverest strategy in the entire world, but it all means nothing if you can't actually make it happen. A great strategy with bad execution is like a beautiful sports car with no engine. It looks great, but it's not going anywhere. So let's just boil this all down. What are the key takeaways here? First, marketing is strategy. It always starts with choosing the value for your target customer, not with making an ad. Second, remember that planning flows from the top down, from the big mission to the specific SBU strategy. Third, use your SWOT to make tough choices, not just a list of stuff. And finally, be deliberate about growth. Pick a lane, cost, differentiation, or focus, and own it. So I'll leave you with this question to chew on. Think about your own work or your own business. It doesn't matter if you're in a huge company or just starting out. Look at this whole framework. Are you spending all your time on the communication part at the end? Do you have a clear mission? Have you been brutally honest about your strengths and weaknesses? Just thinking about which of these steps you might be skipping, well, that's the first step to building a much better plan. And maybe, just maybe, achieving your own impossible dream.